Thank you for the kind introduction. Thank you to the organizers here. It's a great opportunity. This has always been a very fun meeting. You know, my wife's getting jealous about us meeting like this all around the world, these guys in the front row here. So I'm going to talk a little bit about robotics in the near future. It was funny that every time I went on to Google to search robots, I found more of them. And so this is just going to be a brief introduction. This is a picture of, I also had a early ESOP, and I had fun doing solo colectomies with ESOP. So we all first met out in Santa Barbara. And so I have no disclosures. I work for the United States government. I'm not allowed to have conflicts of interest. ESOP was the automated endoscopic system for optimal positioning with computer motion. Intuitive and computer motion eventually merged because of patent infringements. We at Hackensack University Medical Center, where I was in the past, we were able to get some of the earliest Da Vinci robots. I think it was the third and fourth made, but the first and second sold. And so we had an opportunity to see what you could do with the Da Vinci robot. And I published 2 colectomies in 2001. Notice that the first author here is Alessio Pegasi, who's really made a name for himself in doing total mesorectal sections robotically. He was one of my fellows when I was at Hackensack, and so we did a lot of these things. He came right at the right time when we had just gotten the Da Vinci. And so on the other hand, if we look at operating room procedures in the United States, this is where the problem is that the penetration of robotics and even laparoscopy, and I'll show for the different operations in a second, has not been very great, even though we've been doing this for decades now. And so I'll talk later in another talk with more information on that. But we in this room think laparoscopy and robotics are a superior way of doing the operations, and there's evidence-based medicine to show minimally invasive surgery is advantageous, but the adoption rate in the United States is very small. Just looking at new robots, this robot by Med Robotics, and you saw some videos of it before, is FDA approved for transoral and transanal resections, and so this is on the market currently. It's keeps its shape as it goes down through the gastrointestinal tract. If you notice that on the video that was showed earlier. And these instruments come out at the front end of the endoscope, allowing you to perform different procedures. Intuitive has the SP. I'm receiving the first or second SP robot next week. And so it should be a lot of fun. Right now, it's only approved for prostates, but I think it would be a lot of fun to do gallbladders with it, for example. But we'll see how that works out. So the SP is a single site operation out through this trocar. Your stereoscopic camera and 3 instruments come out. And so there'll be some problems with retraction, I imagine. If I was going to do a gallbladder, I'd probably put a 5mm trocar in the right upper quadrant to retract the gallbladder. But people have to work to see how to do that. There's now the patents for Intuitive have run out, and so the market is being flooded with new robots. This is a Korean robot, the Revo 1. It's targeting, and some of these robots are targeting specific operations. This one is targeting cholecystectomy and prostatectomy. Titan Sport has been around for a long time, and it's still not FDA approved. And I have a couple pictures of it. Dennis Fowler has been the big proponent proponent of Titan. He did the second laparoscopic colectomy, I think, if I recall correctly. So he was another one of the gang that we used to travel a lot around to together. And so Titan has some of the same attributes. It looks almost exactly like the SP robot and was intended as a single site operation also. Another picture there. Alpha X Surge Rob by Transenterix is another robot. In many ways, this is similar to the multi-port XI robot. Another picture of the Transenterix Senhance. It's targeting colorectal, urology, and gynecology. It may be FDA approved in the near future within 2018, but none of these are currently FDA approved. Here's another picture of the Senhance showing you the 4 arms, and they have multiple joints to move on the outside. It has a stereoscopic imaging system, sort of like Zeus did, where you have a right image, left image, left image, and he's wearing polarizing lenses, so his right eye sees the right image, and the left eye sees the left image. Problem with that system is 40% of people are irreversibly motion sick from that system. When I was using Zeus, it wasn't a problem, but for many people it was a problem. SurgiButt. Interestingly, its application was rejected by the FDA and has been recently sold to Great Belief International in China. Versius comes from the Cambridge Medical Robotics, not FDA approved, targeting general and colorectal surgery. And you can see that it's separate arms, and it has robotic arms that have joints like the humans, like a shoulder, an elbow, a wrist. Endo Samurai, a couple of these pictures were also just shown. And it's a single port system again for possibly doing notes, and NubScope, which was also just shown in a nice video. There's also the endoscopic IRscope, which is another competitor for doing intraluminal operations. Oris, this is sort of fun. You remotely control the robotic endoluminal bronchoscope. The corporation is run by Fred Mall, who started Intuitive, and so I would think it might be successful. It looks sort of entertaining. This is the surgeon looking at the monitor controlling the movement of the bronchoscope remotely. We saw a picture just a little while ago of Master, which is made by Nang Yang Tech in Singapore. There are other applications for robotics that are opening up now. Maser Robots is going to make, is targeting spine surgery, and it's a Israeli company, showing them using the setup of the robot on the spine. And so what is the future? Is this the surgeon of the future? I'm not going to try to compete with the wonderful lecture that Professor Marisco gave earlier, and that's, I think, where the real future becomes as we move to using these robotic devices. Then the opportunity for the pictures and the autonomy that Professor Marisco mentioned. By the way, my son has a PhD in autonomous navigation, works for a company in California. He's not allowed to say what company it is, and he's not allowed to say what robot he's working on. But I would think something with autonomous navigation is going to come soon. And so the future isn't what it used to be. And I think we live in exciting times. Hopefully it's not the ancient Chinese curse of may you live in interesting times. Thank you.